Good evening, good day, good day. Here we go again, demons, snakes, mind control attacks. Do you know, they really hate anyone that has a God gene, that has a belief that's not an atheist. Right, so here we go again. I can't show you any personal data or data protection. Right, so this is what they call as NK Ultra, trauma based, okay, mind control. It's all part of the reaction to monitor the brain reactions, emotional reactions, and basically this particular phone number, since these agents, Pacific ones, a Pacific company, they just hate the fact that you have knowledge and factual information. I've studied certain subjects for a reason, and they're constantly ganstalking. Right, I'm going to screen share some evidence of fact. This is public knowledge. It's not going to share any personal GDPR breach or any data like that. And, you know, there are demonic entities out there that's got nothing better to do. So, don't you think I know who's behind certain things, which is really demonic, I tell you. I've had years of this, and I'm fed up with this. And the hating the setback. Right. So, let me go. Where was? Okay. Within the statute law, the Care Act 2014, Section 14, this cease and desist has been already done. Okay. In England, known as back on the 7th of 7th, 2022. Okay, I found a clause within the Statute Act. Making presumptions of someone, right, about their private life, health, social care combined. And the more I find out, the more, you know, the eyes are open, so to speak. So I look at both angles. I look at contract law, tort law, and then I find a list. Okay, a list of in the International Bar Association on the 1st of the 7th, 2022. Okay, so, and then I find other information of other sources. So there's no such thing as government. It's all about business and commerce. That's all it is, commercial. Now, I've also prepared a commercial lien against the agents who need to cease and desist the harassment. Okay, constantly. Now, the opposite contracts, this is like, for example, can't share it because of GDPR, data protection. So, amendment of a 7-page document, right? I don't care who comes and starts doing all this BS outside right now. You can go to hell. It's Wednesday, 7th night, 2022, 4 o'clock now. Yeah? Intimidation again. They have their mission to do their whatever crap. So, companies, you can find information out, common knowledge, of Companies House, perhaps, in England. You can go dunabradstreet.co.uk, perhaps, and you can investigate NHS Digital Limited Company. I've got so many printouts, it's unreal. It's unreal how much more I found out. They just want to cause more trauma. So, why did it all really begin? Began a long time ago. But I know hacking my computer, so the trauma I won't relive and speak about because they want me to do that. Right, so basically it's just when these agents reopened an invitation back in May 2019 out of the blue. I didn't know at the time if I take the offer of monetary value that it will affect what I'm with my physical side, my healthcare combined would affect. And I know about trusts and how to set them up. I've had to know, I had to learn as much as I can. And I did approach when my son was talking to me in 2019. Now I found my old documents going back, gosh, 2003 when I got set up. I didn't know all this then, of course. I didn't know hardly anything about law. So basically, my common law depot, I'll tell you, I had to learn about this. It's let's see if I can open up this document if anybody doesn't know what common law depot means. When the media trashed my life, their agents really trashed it. I'm just trying to compose myself. Where you have when you have someone try to kill you. Not the first time. It keeps triggering me. And that's what they do, the ultra part. And it's a flashbacks. And when they do that, it's like you're reliving the horrific events, although they're not happening now. But in the part of the brain which they hack into, with the technology is ridiculous. The brain has to disassociate to cope with everyday stuff. And everyday stuff is always a problem. There's always an issue. It never stops. Because they have to constantly get you in that repetitive. Brian Chu talked about it on his videos. Repetitive response. So I'm always polite, best I can, and I always need to do the emails or it's recorded post, okay? Because I can't deal with this talking on the phone. There's medical evidence why I cannot talk about this. Now they're sending all their demonic entities around me to feed off my feeling this trying to fight their demonic triggers. Okay. And trying to get balance, basically. So ever since I moved to the town, it's not all been negative, but it's like all these things are not coincidental. They hate the children of God. They hate people with spirituality, with passion, these demonic entities, the transhumanist, the humanist theory. People don't believe in anything and they want to be God and live forever and use advancement and technology to do that. So each to their own, but don't come on my turf and do what you're doing. So I've always been very, very efficient, always still, best to my abilities. Financial, practical, every day. But I didn't know the subject ganstalking, what the hell that was. Didn't know the Illuminati, Freemasonry. I don't know how deep it all goes, in connected together. It's not separate. So, thanks to my Mormon family, a certain two individuals, and put me into this program when I was 17 and a half, 18. I didn't know this. All my old diaries from that period, I've got the addresses, the names of the key people that part of this began this. And when I didn't know, years later, of course, other events have happened, and years later I find out the Mormons are founded upon Freemasonry. Okay. And their rituals and their temple garments and things like that. And my late mum, bless her heart, she had no idea in the 60s what she was joining because of what she went through. And when you look at documents and declassifications, MK Ultra, as a child, what she went through in the war years when they had to come out into the countryside to her grandfather, what he did to her. So, of course, when she met somebody, she thought it's the love of her life to help her and everything else in the 70s. I was only young at the time. All he did was abuse my brothers and sisters. And I had to witness that. I had to witness the physical abuse of my brothers and sisters in that room, that pervert pedo. And oh yeah, I blame the church for everything for years for that. Thank God, and no disrespect of the dead, but thank God he died in an instant car crash. Because then it was my older brother and sister that said that we all need. I wasn't part of this pack, right? They all swear to God to make a pact, not to tell us all what happened to us all. I wasn't physical abuse, but my head was held up high by my elder brother, half brother, to witness it all. And if he didn't, one of us will be killed off. These were the words I remember at 7 years of age. So as soon as that happened, after I could get out of that door, I ran for help at 7. And I ran to the next door neighbour. She was a nurse, and I was best friends with her daughter. And my path was blocked by my elder sister. And then they'll convince me at that age, we went to the local park and there was this makeshift bush play area. And they said if we did, if I told anybody, they were saying to me they will be put in the care system. And I didn't want that for my mum, because all I ever saw her do, the majority of my memories, is her crying in her bedroom with a massive great big teddy bear because of the trauma. And they put her on these drugs, the big pharmaceutical industry, all these years I know about now, but I didn't know at that young age. And then my sister at the time, my natural sister, what she was going through every bloody night, nightmares. My elder sister were very quiet, became withdrawn, until she went off to London to study in college, because she followed my older half brother in London when he went to London. And then eventually met his wife and they had a child out of wedlock. So my mother took my first nephew in as a baby. So it's all these bits and pieces, you see, as early years. All these early trauma, I suppose. And then my natural sister had severe extra trauma when her best mates, the whole family, apart from one son who was at home, was all killed in a car crash. And that was the late 70s. And that ultimately traumatised my sister's mind. So she was about 10 at the time. We were very, very close. Her and I always were close. So all these years on, I find out what trauma-based mind control is about, and the patterns and documents, and it's always been around, because the occult, obviously what I'm sharing, bear with me. Can I have to stop sharing at 4:20? Because the hold on, I'm going to stop sharing. Because the occultism and the practices, I've got to get a drink. They have to have the individual on a constant wheel of traumatization. And yeah, I'll be alright. Because life is just a trial. It's physical life. It's really just a trial for the spiritual. We're here to learn. But all this BS, I don't know. Are we chosen from blinking birth? Or before we're born into this earth? Who is going to be on satanic ritual, occultism? How long has this been going on? The traditions in religion, I suppose, and the history of it all, on the dark side of it all, unfortunately, I found out, is very much linked into the Illuminati, the pyramid structure, and the higher it goes, it's non-human entities. Wow! So, when you're in the program, you're denied the services, basically, and you're lied about, and slammed out. Oh, I don't give a shit what people think about me. I'm not here for that. The point is, when you're trying to physically exist, goods and services, you know, all these public paid perpetrators around here, they ain't got no problems with the bathroom. the flat door not repaired. You know, they can have a bath and shower. I can't. I have to bloody get washed out of fucking buckets. But you know, every time I chase something up, these how to do it, I know how to do it by the words, terminology, etc. They twist it back on me, like I've caused things. I'm this, I'm that, you know. So this is nothing new because how this housing company in England and its agents nationally, and then when, gosh, if I'd known, well, climate change has happened, basically, I know that, but it's about learning from. It's about moving on and learning, and it's very hard to forgive. And it took me years to forgive those perpetrators that happened to me as a kid. And then as an adult, it took me years to forgive my family members and forgive my late mum. And it's still a work in progress, although those are doing things to me now. And but I know those participating in this organised ganstalking target program, they've been compromised basically. And you either do this for us or we'll do it to you kind of scenario. So you're either in that category of a target, international list of target individuals, or we'll pay you to do all this to innocent individuals. And it's going to get even more. It's a communist type, I suppose. The Committee of 300, as well, the documents of 21 Goals Illuminati. Well, it clearly states all of this has been planned a long time before I was born. And the documents of the technology part goes back to the 1950s. So that's my mum was a kid, and then it got exposed with the MK Ultra program in the 70s, documentaries and stuff like that. But it then went underground, and it's more sophisticated now. So suddenly you become aware of waking up to the reality of this demonic world, and it's like, oh my gosh, you know. So did I know that these agents working for these either public or private companies in England, locally or nationally, right? I can share this now because I just had to wait for something. When it's so important, why are you going through this? Certain things, because okay. I'm going to switch off and watch the movie in a minute. Right, this is not full to scale. So when I found out 2011, 2012 about change the name deed, depot, basically, this was all done for me. The reason why it was all done, and I learned more about the trust name. This is just a simple, straightforward draft. This is a draft. This company, there's actually an individual, he makes videos, and he's bloody, I didn't realise the template I did all that time ago, 2011, 12, I sent a copy to Criminal Injuries Compensation Limited Company, head office in Glasgow, of at the time before what I know now, I changed the name, because I was still getting this harassment by the media, alternative media, about a high-profile case I was involved in of a murder trial. The guy's now dead, but I wish somebody had let me know in 2020. But there was a guy named watching over me that day. And how that happened, and everything situation leading up to that, I was set up. How the hell could that be organised in such a way? So before that, it's like all these people have made videos about the individual and loads of views and documentaries, all sorts, back in 2003, and then really lasted for about, I don't know, 2006 or something, and Internet of Things, these things are still online, aren't they? So nobody really knows about the survivors of the same individual, what he did, and no truth, because which I know now from my background in media PR, is like, well, you know, it's like, I'm a member of National Union of Journalists from ex-friends of mine who their family were also in the Masonic Lodge, and their father, and I've been given the badge, the apron, and a little book, a payment book, and that dates back to the 50s. The Freemasonry fraternities have been around for a long time. And so, yeah, I mean, that guy, he meant well. He got me as a trainee researcher. That's how I got my card in the late 90s, and then I got it renewed by 2003. So, of course, as a journalist, member of the union, you get offer of a lawyer. So, what happened to me? You would have thought that law company, the agent, could sue in England the Metropolitan Police for failing to hang me in my case as a survivor of the serial killer, and those that failed to, there was all things in public inquiries after everything came out, and to sue the CEOs of these medical public funded companies, etc. But you know, when I got invited, because through all that media attention, I met one of the dead victims' mother, and she was a lovely lady, and I wasn't disabled physically. So then I travelled to Manchester to meet her with, I thought that's how the lawyers at the time found me, through the media and press articles, and I got invited to join in with our dead victims' mothers' cases. And I was failed completely. They said no win, no fee. So I was still getting handed by press. Then I was invited to go on radio, TV, and I just couldn't cope with it all. It was just too much stress. And then, of course, I've got teenagers, and I've got a son to raise, and I had to focus, make sure they're okay too. So I did the best I could. At the time, you put on medication for anxiety to be able to sleep as well, the flashbacks. Then it was recommended at the time that I go and see somebody at Tavistock in London. I did not know Tavistock Institute in the 1920s were a part of all this behaviour, mind control, and MK Ultra program. And it was also recommended by somebody working for the Met Police at the time. And in conjunction with a liaison, I had a liaison officer. So when I had the murder team, squad, they call it, in one of the famous documentaries, these individuals, which I now know about, were very much into allegedly I'm going to put a Masonic membership. And sadly, when it all came out about this individual's flat and what he had in the flat, it was all very, very dark, very demonic. And he had a history of violence to women as well. And there's a lot of dark stuff. And now I know and learning a lot of things about mind control. I do wonder if he was in that category. I wonder he was using the spirit. So, but when it came to me, and he didn't appear, none of that at all. And you see, when I tried to set up my business before that incident happened, and my business partner, financial business partner I had, was helping financially to set up this place to rent to set up my natural health business, but the place hadn't finished yet, the painting and the decorating and stuff. And my fiance at the time was suggesting, well, I just rent out one of my rooms, you know. But the first time I set it all up professionally, and the first client I have was a serial killer. Could I ever visualize that as being a very, very strong-minded and streetwise woman? No, I didn't see that coming. And all my security measures and everything else was spot on. So I brought them off. I don't know how, all these years, I really don't know how I survived. Somebody was watching over me, because the way he attacked me, his beard on my face, just smothering my face and strangling me and squashing my head against the wall, is how he killed these 3 women, basically. And did horrible things to the body parts. And I won't go any further about that. So I've always lived with the guilt of not coming forward straight away to report what it did to me, because how I've been treated for years, when there's been incidences I need support for my children when they're growing up, or incidents at school or whatever it may be, I will always get backed out by public servants. So, and then I met business people who helped educate me and started learning about other subjects and how to handle situations, which is very helpful, and I appreciate that. And I got a remedy in the end for my son, and I think that's where it began, with public sector servants who hated the fact that I got a remedy for my son. And then, of course, why did my family come back on the scene? To start the psychological tactics, not on me anymore, because it didn't work, but on my daughter at a teenager age. And so that was re-traumatizing me, and it affected my son. So I just managed with my contacts, and I got to know barristers, lawyers, judges, all these professions. And because they were friends, I got invited to these parties, and that began me learning about a side of life that people don't always, they're not always open about. It's private, what goes on behind closed doors, kind of thing. And I didn't participate. I just saw and witnessed a lot of things, and these people weren't horrible to me, and I didn't say nothing. We just were friends. Very wealthy people, very much silver spoon in the mouth, are very well connected. So that's how I don't need to share that anymore. Stop sharing. Yeah, so hate. It's a strong word, hate, isn't it? Mindset's been hacked and rerouted anyway. So yeah, it was so when you find documents and patterns of declassification documents about the 1960s implants of the human brain, they practiced on the ball first in somewhere in Spain, I think. And what implants of human brains? So you see, you go one rabbit hole over another, and one needs to balance and be careful and just get the facts. So when I got US patent numbers of this technology was real, why on earth would anyone want to test human individuals on these frequencies and technology to start with? So then you go into blogs and you find evidence it's been going on for a long time and before I was born. So I look back on my past and I do believe my mum was subjected to this program herself. It's hereditary. Then obviously her kids, and of course what we went through as kids. And then of course I managed to break free from the constraints of my upbringing, and I just got on with life. And that wasn't done thing, was it? They had to use the psychological tactics back on me at a young age. So my mum didn't know, you see. She don't question anything with the Mormons in that regard at the time. And I was in front of these, I can't remember how many of these men, and they just psychologically torn into me. You'll be hated all your life. You name all the negativity words, and to get into the psychological brain to make an impact. Well, I hated everybody ever since for a long time, but I soon realised years on through life events that that wasn't true. That was staged. That was set up. NLP, realistic programming. And when I found out my older brother was specially trained in that in London, and how he got his funding to set up his business for that, I was a test subject for him, wasn't I? So when what happened to me, and it all went over the news as well, oh, it doesn't help living in the town all these years on still. And if I had a guardian angel to help me move by the coast in a bungalow that's all lovely, accessible, and have a bit of freedom in that regard, and get away from all this and start again, I would do that. But the practicality, which I did try to do a period of years, recent years, saving up to hire a van, to put stuff in storage and things like that, practically, before things started going, no, it was from 2017, 18. Well, my son had a situation. So I was helping him out financially, but make sure I started being very wise with my accountancy, financial affairs, and I've always been spot on with that ever since. I wasn't years ago, but I've learned a lot since. And so, yeah, I could handle my affairs in that regard, no problem, best to my ability. So, yeah, I can handle, the assumptions being made about people. They're constantly sending people gaslighting me outside at the moment, so I'm trying to ignore them. It's under the attack, psychological tactics going on in the UK. I'm just going to record this, document this. Right, they're sending. It's Wednesday 7th, the night 2022. Okay. We've got all the certain individuals involved in ganstalking. So who my contacts over the years and things I was involved with and got invited to, I uncovered a paedophilia ring. I tried to help a young boy. I knew, and I won't say how it's connected to me and things like that, because it's just I identify certain political people that are still around in their political position, and they very much are. When you hear about underground dams sacrificing of children and things like that, you be careful you're going to investigate subjects like that. I don't touch that subject anymore. What I uncovered, I've never talked about it since the late 90s, and I do believe I was set up because what I stumbled across, and they wanted to make sure I wasn't going to talk. But I'm not one for that. I'm not a whistleblower. I would never do things like that. But because I'm still here, existing and living in this demonic world the way it is at the moment, and knowing that there are breeders, there are children having children, there are selected, and some of these are palmed off, babies are palmed off to families to raise as their own, and these satanic ritual abuses and how it all goes on is well orchestrated. It is very much so, all these years on to date, what I found out. Sadly, it is very demonic. I won't go into anything more than that. And the individual is now older, adult, in his own life. The particular key individual who's very well politically known still and very well connected in my area. He hates the fact that I'm still around, and so my neighbour, a certain individual that used to be a lorry driver, used to be just an ordinary individual, he's used and manipulated people for so many years since I moved here. He has been behind everything, and I mean everything. I've got diaries, journals, names, dates, etc. And he's just because he's got this wealth financially, he can pull strings. He's been rubbing up people for years. You see, when the incident originally happened to me, I saw him at the bar across where I used to live, and he was sucking up to the bar owner then. So that is 2002. I have no clue he lived here when I moved this area, and I sure got to know. And there's no coincidence how I moved in, and there's no coincidence how my old house got broken into and my life put at risk there. And so it's a pattern, you know, with the trauma, it's always seemed to be a pattern. So therefore, it's like breaking that cycle. And it took me from 2018 to date, 360 turnaround to realise that all of this is just an illusion, really. Doesn't matter. None of it matters. Because it's going to go blink of an eye. We're in the book of Revelation period, end of days. And life, the basicness of the things that I've gone through is a learning curve. It's very hard. It's very difficult, and yeah, I learned it, and you still keep going for it. So when you realise that on the business and commerce side of life, which I've learned a lot about, is that's all it's about. Money talks. What is money? A belief system. So what is religion? A belief system. So what is the big money making now? Is data. Is data mining, digital technology, and much more. In the old days, we didn't have none of this, and so in that regard, my generation still remembers the old days, and they can do. In my adult son and daughters, now they're already aware that their life, when they were younger, we didn't have the knock-ons. We got on with things. But with their own family, my grandkids, they're older now, a couple of them are still young, I don't see them at all. It's not my doing. Because the slandering goes on, people get compromised. So whatever I know for my son, it's not their fault. I don't blame them. Whatever they've done, they have to do. I know that. And same with my daughter. She has been lied to and manipulated by my own family and by my elder brother. I know that for too long. And how they did that, I won't go into. And that's affected her. As an adult in her own right, I'm seeing what my granddaughter looks like. And she really has gone dark. She's a deep down character, a really good heart. But this modern world, it's very much dark. So she is spiritually, she'll always be her. She'll always be, you know. She's just, it's cosmetic. The way she dresses, the way she looks, is all just cosmetic. And I just hope, I know my daughter will do the best she can. And, you know, so the last time I talked to my daughter was 2014. My own son didn't want me at his wedding in 2000. Was it 15? I got set up in 2015, 16, and then ever since more and more intensified now. So, and I don't blame him, as I said, and I know he is extremely intelligent in what he's still doing, and with the crypto, digital currency, and all that. His mathematical brain is extremely intelligent, and what they went through as kids as well, what the demonic system did to me and my kids as well, and where I took on being a fighter, not against people per se, but, you know, speaking up for the underdog kind of thing. And so from losing the ability to do my business and natural health, which I really wanted to take off, and then physically getting unwell, and I got run over, and the injuries I sustained on that part, and then of course the effects of the trauma of what happened to me in 2002. It doesn't impact my life in such a way I cannot make a decision. I'm fully capable. It doesn't impact my life where I cannot function in that regard. But all these public servants, the key ones, keep trying it on that way. So I started learning law 2012, and I know much as anybody, I suppose, in trusts and equity. subject, and the fact is that I know this, I know how to do my documents, respond to any invitations or offers, and present my responses and counterclaim offers back, and then also show the fact that I did look into trusts and set it up to consider the offer of remaining 14,900. I was let down by my sister, my own son, when I had all the documents ready, prepared, and they needed a bank account. Had all these documents all sorted and ready to go by the end of 2019, and then out the blue in 2021, end of the year, beginning of this year, you have these agents of the CICA Limited imply, why don't you set up a trust? I'm getting all the demonic traffic now. Whatever. So yeah, I'd sent the evidence back because 2019, 2020, 21, 22, affidavits, rebuttals, presumptions being made about my private life by agents MOJ Limited, which is a public funded company. Its agents within its departments are relevant to the subject of criminal injuries compensation. Wow. You see, in their system, they failed to use the best practice policy directions, and the key, I know now why, of course, I didn't at the time. And so I found out if I take, well, the total payment would be 18 grand, I think. But the old lawyers in 2005, which originally said I met the dead victim's mother, the victim's mother. Those lawyers had misled me. They didn't explain to me about the trust and how I could set it up, because I didn't have no upfront costs to set it up, and whether or not they could be the trustees, and or put me in touch with a company that could manage the trust. I'll be a trustee, could it work that way? That's back 2005, 2006, right? And so they said to me, oh, we need a medical report. And imply, because I mean, I did no different. I believe they knew what they were doing. And all this period of time, they were trying to sue London NHS Foundation Trust, the corporation, its agents, for letting this serial killer out of this hospital when he wasn't meant to be out, to commit these horrific common law offences and what he did to me. And so this International Bar Association, limited company, by the way, head office in London, agent, female, they called it barrister, public law. Well, that was misled. I know that now. I didn't know at the time. Said I couldn't sue. There wasn't real prospects of a successful outcome, and blah blah blah. She made a fortune out of doing those reports. But in the meantime, this guy, and I found out who he was in the end. International guy. He's an expert witness. A very long history of expert witness in UK court system. This is a civil matter, by the way. So it's not a pleasant reading. 2006 and up to 2007. in that report, this is what they wanted all along, all these years to date to use. Goes into my childhood trauma, my young adulthood. They're constantly sending their demonic cars and gaslighting me outside, all right now. So they're just demonic idiots. And your demonic behaviours, I'm not going to praise me because I know what they're trying to do. Feed off my, I'm going to keep positive best I can. Yeah, so that report of that individual, and I found out even more so now. General Medical Council is a limited company as well, and he's a member of, and well, at the time, obviously, I don't know if he still is, but that report was used apparently by the old law company for the offer of criminal injuries compensation. I was led to believe it will be a similar amount as the dead victims' family members, as I said, from the mother. No, I was misled. So I did my best, wrote back to the law company, its managing director, to say that you've misled me on the offer contract, no win, no fee, and how is this guy going to get paid for that medical report? And how's it going to be used? It's very private data. At the end of that report, it said I'll never work again. I am too permanently traumatized by the attempted murder in my life. It's not good reading at all. And police statements of 2002 and 2003 is not good reading either. It's not pleasant at all. And I've not been able to relook at those. I've still got them, and I haven't been able to relook at them because knowing what this guy did to those women, it's just a reminder. If only I'd gone to the police straight away, but because how I know politically, and I was known politically in the town before that incident in 2000, 2001, I couldn't trust nobody, so I didn't come forward. I just brushed off what happened to me, and just for the sake of my son and my daughter, I just carried on with the Christmas period at the time. And it wasn't until that guy's face was all over the press, all over TV. One murder. So I went in a state of panic and shock, didn't I? And when I did, what ridiculous. Of the video interviews I did, describing in detail, was before his images went in the press of the guy, as I described him, body part details, the outfit he had on, everything in detail. And where his injection marks was for his diabetes. And there's a lot of reasons why things happened. He got his pleasure out of seeing women suffer, shall we say. There's a lot more things I know because this guy confided in a few things to me, and I was naturally in natural health. I wasn't doing anything of an adult context as those dead victims had. I wasn't in that regard. I got labelled like that because it's easy for the press to sell stories, wasn't it? So my reputation went out the window and they destroyed my family life. So you see all these years on, public servants, oh, we want to offer services, blah, blah, blah. They search your name online and find the old stories and judge you for thinking that's you now still, kind of thing, which is load of BS, and it's not. And yet people don't know you, can easily judge you. See, it makes a hurdle when you're trying to access goods and services in a lawful due process, and yet they deliberately don't, because they know you're as a waiver of this well-known individual at the time. But you see, how I've managed to just educate myself on knowledge and facts is to say what all due respect, using decease or open slander, you know, and it's none of your business. It's old news, it's old history. And if you want to judge me on that basis, then your breach of your oath in your description, your job, whether it's public or private company, public really. And so it began, didn't it? It began with the intensifying of the stalking, the ganstalking, intensifying on denial of goods and services. And if it was offered, they were libel and slander me and make things up about me, and it just come out of the blue. And I thought, well, what the hell? So when I researched the subject, and then on top of all this, you know, bad timing that my late mum passed away, and all that on top I won't go into because I know what that was all about. So all the plan was all along to get me out of this place, all along, from the word go. As soon as I moved in 2009, the offer contract, the terms and conditions of the contract 2009 to date is 13 odd years. I have not breached, but the agents of the housing company has breached every regard going. I can't tell you how many dates, times, how they've done it, who's done it. It's so demonic, and I really looked into it myself to see where else I could move, just like a fresh start, without financially having a detrimental effect on my personal situation too. That wasn't even when the wet room was the way it is, you know. And because these reports I've got, 2011, it clearly states I got rejected minor kit plates in the door frames. And then all these years saying I'm not engaging, all these terminologies they could put into words into my mouth that is not true. And that gets into on databases now, on care. I don't know what software they're using nowadays, but I tell you, it's all just fabricated. So if one is not aware and you're in a new job position like that, adult health, social care subject, and you're going to look at information like that and you're going to think, oh my goodness me, is that individual right? You know? And I can see it from individuals' point of view where they don't know you and they're just looking at paper. It's not a computer screen. It's not define who you are. And then they get the GDPR data protection. My private data got breached again, 2018, 1st of June 2018, and that included that medical report. I thought, here we go again. So of course, my report comes out, national company, local. It's called the Local Healthcare Ombudsman Services. It's a limited company up north in UK, and they investigate the failings of public funded companies in adult health social care. Where the report comes out stating the maladministration in all areas of mental upset offer assessment to see whether or not it'll be offered goods and services, trying to rebuild trust in these public servants again. because my private life friends at the time of my re-injuries from the effects of 2017 and now the housing was absolutely just, were just struggling. So I wasn't sure. So I went through that process 2018 and all those meetings, and it was nothing to do. In end of 2018, beginning 2019, I found out it had nothing to do with what I was led to believe the terms and conditions for contracts in adult house social care. They just wanted an OT report. Why do they want it? Well, there was one already there. Nothing had changed in my medical use of equipment. And in that regard, so I had to research their system, the UK statute law and the actual contract law. You name it, I've done it. And yeah, at the time then my financial situation changed and they wanted to change from what I was getting on to another UK disability benefit. That's horrendous too at the time. So I had to really get into learning commerce and business quite quickly, which I did eventually. And that report, the libel came out of this woman called Jane, Susan Jane, and 10th of July 2019, she libelled me and slandered me left, right and centre. She says, I don't have the specific on going to equipment, that's it, but she said, I don't need a specific type of equipment. They don't believe I've got it in my flats. And yet I've got all these reports in front of me, the whole history, ever since I was assessed with this medical and equipment and items I've got, and the service reports. And she lied about that to imply that I'm making it all up psychologically about my physical disabilities. Really? You want to see my hospital reports? One of them I've got especially that showed the heart attack I had. It was off the charts when they did the scans. My old computer got bust at the time, and at the time my daughter-in-law witnessed that. I suddenly lost my. I wasn't like this. I was rushed to hospital. I woke up about 2 days later, getting my speech eventually back. I had a mini stroke and a heart attack at the same time, and I was getting harassed in the hospital by the housing agents. That's how demonic they were. And their report in 2017 wasn't even awful. I found out nationally again, a company, Housing Ombudsman Services, is a limited company, head office in London. All national housing companies in social housing pays a yearly fee to that company to make sure any complaints about their services does not go anywhere, especially the one of mine I had. And so they did uphold all the key negligent. I've got all the email evidence where first the repair of the floor was 3 days. Then when they came in, the carpenter refused to replace the floorboards. That's what it is. It's the floorboards. That's all that needs, and then the tiling. But then the report come back, they need to want to cut it all out. But so I had negotiated the hotel, negotiated that. All these negotiations and all these emails and letters throughout 2017 and 18. And so by 2019, I got that report. That was it. I completely lost trust in all of these key agents, and I found some of them were still employed from the past that I've known about. So luckily my health got in a stabilised situation, and I didn't need to offer their services, thank you. So rejection of that dishonour, and that was it because of that basis. Didn't get apology at all, did I, by the public servants and their agents at all. So 2021 comes, and now we're in Agenda 2030 to be put into a smart city, first for England, and the policies new company sets up to replace the previous public funded company, building right across the road from me, and all the policies change. So that means the new terms and conditions of a contract, and I saw that in summer 2021. I didn't get any response, so therefore I did a GDPR data protection, ceasing to cease using all of my private data from the past and online, and amend any incorrections being held based on this report of 2019. Never got a response either. So instead, in May 2019, the Ministry of Justice Limited Company, they must, I've got all this dates and diaries and stuff, it's too much a coincidence, that reopened a civil matter to offer me this compensation. An agent in Glasgow, CICA Limited, Frank, he contacted and breached my GDPR data protection, by the way, and contacted this local company, public funded, to say, been trying to contact me. I'm concerned for my welfare. Really? When did you try to contact me? Where's your letter? Dates, times, how? What's it regard to? So as soon as I found out, I responded. And I found my old documents. From 2011, I had notified them that I'm no longer able to respond in such regard because of my health reduction, physically from being my neighbour. Just enough to aid them to aid me. And also, I had responded to the former law company who failed me, its agents, and I no longer deal with them. If you contact me, I do my best endeavours to get back to you between all the mental personal care and my personal situation I'm going through. Right? So from 2011 up to 2015, I didn't get one response. Okay, from the agents. How many years is that? In England, a civil matter is statute barred after 6 years. So out the blue, from the period of 2000 and up until 2015, right, there's no contract by any of these corporations, agents, until 2019. Oh, we would like to offer you this remainder of this amount. There's no explanation why they didn't contact me for all this period of time, over 5.5 years. And then they start picking fault, saying that I'm not responding, I'm not engaging with their offer services as well. Wow. So I found my old documents. I sent the proof of posting, the number of recorded posts where I did respond, and affidavit form. And so my affidavits or rebuttals on the latter part 2019, really 2020, 21, 2022 to date. Last one was 7 pages long, and it detailed just to the point of the fact of this, that made presumptions of my ability to make a decision, a specific decision. And all of this was built up by this guy called Frank, and he and his agents went to, in UK, known as maritime law, by the way. And these particular guy called David, the area office of Manchester, saying, oh, she's not responding. It's a pattern. She's not engaging. She's not responding. It's just repetitive. So all due respect, I had a brief type. Everything was typed, by the way, best to my ability, and word checked, spell checked, etc. I'm not secretary. They've got secretaries, I don't. So, and I just let them know that all due respect, you just made assumptions that I can travel to Manchester. I'm not going to do that in my wheelchair. And all the amount of care, personal care I have, they obviously haven't been informed. So, as I said, I just briefly outlined that reduction in my physical health, and it's not possible. And also, it is on my medical records where I struggle. I might do a stream like this, but I struggle to be able to talk with the phone, let alone on a video call. I cannot consent to that offer. And I found their national policies where they're meant to use for people in my situation, and they failed in that regard too. So he just disregarded that, David, and went ahead and had this hearing on the civil matter and made assumptions in my private life. And he read, he must have read part of this medical report where it said, I'm seriously affected by this attempted murder. I think it exaggerated. And in his words, response, and so I just did a counterclaim back, corrected their mistakes they've made, and but he automatically transferred it, lied about me, and said I wasn't responding. She didn't turn up to Manchester. What? And everything was special delivery, recorded post. It cost me a lot. I should charge them. And then it got it just transferred to another individual. Just called him Adrian. And they are bar association members, Freemasons. They definitely are. And he just basically did the same. And then it went on to two lay individuals and another individual male. And they made assumptions, and my were concerned about her capacity. What? Where'd that come from? What on earth? And then they gave a reference, and now I know they were taking the mickey then. And I started to learn about the gaslighting subject by then. And my gosh, it's a civil matter. And they're picking holes how I respond, or like, it's lawful because I checked this out. Well, Royal Mail, PLC, corporation agents, if you don't want to take an offer of an item through the letterbox or post, you just do return to sender. But I know how to do no contract, return to sender. So they took an issue with that. I don't open it. Return to sender. It wasn't stating who it's from. What's a PO box? I wasn't aware. So everything I do is a proper business location. So anyway, long story short, yeah, they've gone to town to retrash up on the mental health card. Really? My situation is based on trauma from what happened to me in 2002, nothing else. Yeah? I am not a threat to anyone else, by the way, nor to myself. So I checked out and more recently updated policies in that regard, and more advancements in whatever future policies may be in place. Not quite out there, but they're literally hammered in to use the trauma-based mind control and mental health card on me. They're deliberately blocking the repairs for 5 years to my home to make me look incompetent. This is what the ultimate card is. So the agents now are involved So they've gone and brought in nothing to do with housing, but they've gone and dragged in the contacts within Masonic lodges in the subject of a complete different concept altogether to merge it with making sure that the occupational therapy contract with NHS England Limited Company, who is meant to have Millbrook Healthcare Group, head office of Southampton agents, to service every 6 months of a certain piece of medical equipment, every year the other piece of medical equipment, and another one I've got. And yeah, for 2 years they've denied service. I recently chased it all up again. Emails blocked, no response. Recorded post, no response. And they're blocking that because they want to slam dunk on me, force me out my home, put me into an institution, corporate business placement with a massive label, total control over all of my affairs, financial, housing, healthcare, you name it, these corporations, because of have no lawful basis whatsoever, no lawful ground, and I've got all of the evidence, but they don't care because we're dealing with Satanists, demonic entities out there that have an agenda. It doesn't matter what evidence I show that law societies into company, certain advice bureaus into company, every tenancy has its own setup, and then it goes national in England. It's all public or private companies, and they need an agent. And when you learn what many people like I have learned, but then on top, you are on this international targeted list for things you haven't even bloody done, you completely will be denied services. You're seen as a threat to the state system. You're seen as a threat. Threat for what? It's a joke. So the trauma today, reliving the events of 14th of the 8th, 2022, for that wheelchair will coming up and almost being killed, and that wheelchair almost hitting that road head first off that path curb, and that car almost hitting me and being killed. Right? That's why that bloody phone call, I didn't even know about it, and they did it really calling at 9 o'clock in the morning, right? From the head office of this national company and its division in the wheelchair service. And the international company, the contracts they have is in biometrics. They have, and no disrespect, I'm sure they do good for people that's got this advancement in limbs replacements of artificial equipment, and I'm sure that they're doing a bloody good job for that. And they got a lot of, but the fact is that this national housing company agent, especially locally, are using this wheelchair company agents to see the condition of my flat every bloody time, to imply there's a wheelchair service too, which is not. Because the last time they came out on an emergency basis to sort out their negligence, right, to putting me at risk, I could see their thinking behind of all their agents. So this woman the emails my private life friend sent for me to order is better, because it goes back, as I said, in March this year, 2017, correction, this year, 2022, that the fact is, they're the ones delayed. I was chasing up for 5 months. You're saying there's now service in my wheelchair. Okay, here's the dates, blah, blah, blah. I came to claim to offer. They didn't respond to us. So this is what happens, you see. And they blame me that I'm not responding to them. And this is what the paperwork's involved with the trauma-based mind control. So you're repetitively responding and you deny services, and they put the onus back onto one. So I haven't done nothing. So I hope you're getting all of this, because you're not going to hear the truth from any agents who work for these companies. So what they say, oh, you can't change the past. I know you cannot change what's happened. How do you move forward from this? So it's bad enough, isn't it, when you get robbed? You go on the 13th of the 1st, 2022, and everything gets stolen. My bag, keys in it, everything when I was out. So the door keys went with it. And of course, where I was all on camera. The guy was all dressed in black. There's 2 female witnesses, 1 male staff where I was. And everything I saved up for, I saved hard, and I was very careful with the balance of my books. Everything got stolen. Had to read it. In a way, what happened, it's still traumatizing, because it's now 9 bloody months, and the temporary repair on my flat door, yeah, is not even offered to make sure it's replaced. Try to so they can listen in with the technology what they're doing these days. Anyway, their door frame was never properly fixed. So there is, within this housing company, subcontract out their goods and services, housing maintenance has been years of denial services. I mean, to start with, when the kitchen, right, upgrades the kitchen, the flats around here, I was left out. Oh, we didn't know you were disabled in the wheelchair. So when I sought clarification how I'm going to get an upgrade to the kitchen units, I never got a response. So I've got a kitchen unit that needs sorting out. I've got other stuff that needs sorting out. There's a whole list of things that needs to be sorting out. But I've been denied. But you think your security of your own home, your own flat door, would be a priority, wouldn't you? Not for me. To move to these flats for the period of time it's all been going on, they have gutted out the flats above me, opposite me, no expense spared, put it in, and turns out to be police informers. And they can use their bathrooms and no problems with their conditions of their homes. Right? But they make sure that I'm to live like this, because this is a part of the psychological tactics to push me out my own home. And if anyone visits, right, i.e. wheelchair agent, they will say, oh my goodness, the place I like. And they will think it's something to do with my private friends or me, but it's not. We do cleaning, say health and safety, all prepared like every winter best one can be, especially nowadays what's going on. And yeah, I'm trying to figure out, denied nowadays to actually hire somebody with a van to put my stuff in storage, how to fund that. I knew they got to him, because he didn't bother to see how I was ever since I got robbed beginning of this year. Nobody. Oh, by the way, Northamptonshire Police, Northampton Limited Company, and the Office of the Crime Commissioner, I've forgotten the full title. Every town and city, the name of the town and or city, you can go about it, okay, and you'll find the company number. I didn't even know this until what happened to me at the beginning of the year. So I could sue them for not really statute law. You need to do a commercial lien against the CEO. I know both personally from years ago what they were up to. My neighbour knows them personally too. I know one of them, the deputy, when he found my son in the early 90s. Son had and that's when I got barristers, lawyers, everything involved. And I started my campaign and I confronted Tony Blair. Oh yes, old Tony Blair. But I didn't know what I know now about him and others like that. But I do now. But at the time I thought I was doing the right thing. But you do what you can for your kids. Anyway, that's a past. This is now. So I am not going to look at any bloody emails today, thank you. And I shall wait and counterclaim. And my soul belongs to my creator. It doesn't belong to the satanic, demonic side of life. And I do know mine is solely based on the trauma. Like, here we go. Medical Conte Pro. It's not just America. Trauma-based mind control. Anyway, the world is upside down. My blessings to all those that might hear this and is going through a lot themselves, because the way we're living now is just trying to be practical and try to survive. What's time now? 40:30. So one thing that people might want to investigate is the Build-Up Exchange Act 1882, promissory note, promises to pay, and when you get information and knowledge, it's a powerful thing, and they don't want that. But no, DUN DunandBradstreet.co.uk, you'll find everything about business and commerce. Yeah, so I'm just looking at my other pieces of notes. Well, there's a hidden side to life, isn't there? Right, so it's Blatchford Limited. agents. They're all agents because you can't sue a building with bricks and mortar, can you? So every company, and then you've got in England, you've got the strikes going on tomorrow, and the National and England Royal Mail PLC agents hired by the company for post services, postmen and women, postal services are on strike for 2 days. And who else will be next? Anyway, let's put something positive on in the background when the stream was. A price actually. Spiritual warfare. And
it's so we're going to get our rapture. Meanwhile, that group of people is expecting to God to unspeak his word to accommodate them outside of his will.
Be nice to be somewhere else in a mountain and with a sea view.
Just for the fact of saying a couple of things, just to try and create curiosity of the mind. People to ask them. ourselves some simple questions on how the courts are operating. If someone was to take somebody to a money claims court, they would make a claim to the court, send that claim to the defendant that was to defend that claim. Was being made against them. Failure to respond to that claim, therefore a default would be given for failing. Similar to a nil hill, where you could suppose you could get the nil hill to see an IHICIT nil decid, which is failure to respond, basically acquiescing to the fact that when you need to give a response, if you fail to give a response, non-response is the response of admitting to the guilt. So the claim to the court would so you would file that claim to the court, and the court would send that claim out to the defendant, the one who's to defend that law that was being made against them, who made that claim, and see that whoever had made that claim had signed to state that that claim was a statement of truth. The difference here is people are getting these pieces of paper alleging to be summons, which has invited them into these courts. They never get to see the claim. And people are filing these applications to see the case management file. And the case management file will contain the layer of information, which is the proceedings, which is the claim that's been made against you, who's made it, what the claim is. And that's the simple point. So people are getting taken into these buildings, alleging to be courts, alleging to be a summons, alleging to be a claim being made, but never seeing the claim. Yet anybody, who takes a claim, if you go and make a claim, you have to lay that claim before that court, and that court will send that claim out to the defendant, the person you're bringing into that court. Yet these councils and these CPS, they're in the building, and they're sending these pieces of paper out, summoning you into without showing you the claim, without showing you any living man or woman making a claim. Why? Because the claim isn't to you, the man or woman. These are corporations that are operating and administrating your trust without your knowledge, because you lack the knowledge of the person that created your birth certificate. It's a person, which is a corporation. It's a corporation contract with another corporation. And this is just corporate intercourse, and they're fucking it. Corporate. The fuck is off, guys. So, good day, Rosemary. Wow, actually seeing you're live, I ain't doing many anymore. I cease really. It's because obviously what I'm doing is attack are out there doing their do, and to be truthful, I'm sick of the incompetence of the amount of people out there who think they're awake, who listen to people and take what their words are as truth without doing their own due diligence. So, is it really worth helping so many people when all they do is abuse you? Clear sky. Oh yeah, look at that. Look, not one of those stupid little cam things there. Not one. Couple of clouds over there. Look, fluffy cloud. Yeah, better than what we are coping with. Yeah, well, we don't get it always. Well, it's not all, mate. I've just done my little job for today. I'm going to go home for that, like in a second. Just to get the clarity out for you to understand the difference. I mean, when we've been saying about we need to see the case file, because we've never been served with any proceedings issued by the court. The proceedings of the court, remember, is the claim that's been made by the man or woman that's bringing the man or woman to the court. And like I've just said, if I was to make a claim against somebody, that claim would be filed at the court, and the court would then send you serve you with the claim so that you could see what the claim was, so that you could now see who's made the claim, what's been claimed, and therefore you can then form a defense. You know, you can make a rebuttal, so on and so forth. But obviously before that, they should have already been done. Those before you actually been brought to the court, they should have been. This is that 3-letter rule that they do when they bring these things. You know, when the letters come through and people are ignoring them. But the simple point is, yeah, you don't know who's making the claim. All these people that are getting the summonses, you only get the summons to court. You do not get the lay of information. You never get served the proceedings. What you do get, when people get these big files, yeah, from the council or from the CPS, they have not been laid at the court. You're just getting a bundle. But remember, a court case is a court case for a reason, because it's a case. And what the lay of information has to be laid that is put into that case and given a case number. So if you've got an alleged case number that you're being taken to, then that case number is to a case file. And that case file must contain the lay of information that you're talking about in this court, that you're defending. If there is nothing in that case file, then there is nothing to defend. But the point is, they send you these bullshit pieces of paper from the CPS or from the council, and you're arguing about this bullshit, but it doesn't. Why? They're not in the case file. If they've not been laid in front of a court, then there's nothing to answer. And it's just deception, guys. Remember, subject matter. Where is the facts? Where's the substance of the claim? Proof of claim always, guys. Proof of claim. You can see the claim. If I make a claim against you, you will see the claim against you, because the court will send it to you. You don't need no substance. You've got it in front of you. There's the claim. It's been sent to you by the court, and you'll have seen that I've signed it to say that it's me that's making that claim. Why isn't everybody else getting these things in these buildings? Because they're not. Yeah? This is really, really is that simple. You know? And if we can see that it's that simple, so can they. We had a guy the other day, yeah. Well, a mate of mine, he had a piece of paper come through alleging to invite him into a building, operating as a court allegedly, and he doesn't know who's made a claim against him. He doesn't really know. He can see sort of what the claim that's being made against him, but he doesn't know that claim's been made against him. He hasn't seen that claim has been made against him by a living man or woman, but he's being invited into a building. So when we asked for this information, because it said on that piece of paper here that it was authorised by the Chief Constable of Nottinghamshire, so we sent him a demand straight back from him to prove the proof of claim. Who's made the claim? Where's the substance of the claim? And where is the evidence of what where is it? What are you talking about? What's the claim? Who's made it? Tell me. You've authorised it, but who's made it? Where is it? Let me see it. I want to see it. I want to feel it, touch it. I'm not answering to nothing. What language is it in? You know? Blah, blah, blah. We asked him some simple points, yeah? Anyway, he failed. We demanded it again, giving him 7 days notice, I think it was, or 14 days notice. Failure to do it. You've tried to legally entrap us with barratry. You've agreed to it, and there's £100,000 fine. So he's now got £100,000 because he ignored that too. Then we sent one to the court. The courts failed. First of all, we went over to the family court. The family courts sent answers straight back. It's nothing to do with us. It's to do with the civil court now. Yeah, it's to do with the criminal court now, so it's in the criminal court. So we sent them to the criminal court. The criminal court's come back and says, it's nothing to do with us, it's to do with the CPS. How the fuck do you work that out, guys? How do you get a summons to a court? CPS, not the fucking court. The court's just admitted it's nothing to do with it, it's to do with the CPS. So the CPS got a letter. The head of the CEO of the CPS got a notice demand to provide who it is. Where's the particulars? I want to see the claim. I want to see who's made the claim. So she was given, the head of Rebecca Lawrence. Rebecca Lawrence was given 7 days, 14 days, whichever it was. Yeah, she failed. She ignored it. So she's now got £100,000 bill against her too. So where are these claims? You have to challenge them, guys. How can you defend? If you can't defend, you have to challenge it. if you haven't seen the claim, you can't defend the claim. So if you can't see the claim, you must demand to see the claim so that you can defend it, and failure to give you the claim. If they haven't got that claim, if there is no fucking claim, there is no substance of a claim, you know you're being deceived. So now you must be honourable and you must sue them for that. And that's what you're doing. You send them a bill. That's the way it goes. That's the way I'm seeing it goes. And you'll take them into a money claims court to solidify the debt, and then you'll bankrupt them if they fail to pay you. Yeah? Anyway, that's the way I'm looking at it, guys. Don't you ask for a demur. Not too sure on that one, my friend. I'm just doing it the way I do it. There's many ways, obviously. There's always more than one way of skinning a cat. But the simple point is, how can you answer to anything unless you know what it is to answer? This is God's armour, as I'm saying. If you don't know what it is you're answering to, don't. All you're doing is demanding whatever it is that you're being. You know, if someone's made a claim, mate, yeah, the burden of proof's on them. So it's very simple. You give them a certain period of time, because it's malfeasance in office, man. This is fucking legal entrapment 101. You know damn well ultimately it's not even to you, it's to the fucking corporation that made for you, worth like. And that's all bullshit for legal anyway. It's fucking all disgusting what's going on in this world. It's nothing to do with God, this is to do with men and how they fucking deceived all the people on this world. But it's time the men stood up and being men and demanded stop fucking about and stop pissing about, asking, like, you know, arguing. Stop arguing. Proof of claim, number one. Full stop. Anyway, guys, just thought I'd just run that one into you. Hopefully it'll make it clear for you, because I'm just saying to you, like, look, think about it. If someone's making a claim, you know, you can't just make it. Number one, you can't just make a claim. Someone can't just say that you've got it. There's got to be substance to it. Somebody can't just say that you owe £1 million. They've got to provide a receipt or a contract or so on and so forth to say something to what substance. Because any claim made without substance can be dismissed without substance. So if someone says you owe £100,000, you can say, no, I don't. If someone provides something material, some physical material, you have to destroy that physical material as false and fraudulent, yeah, by better material, yeah, yeah. So that's of a claim itself. But if you've never seen a claim, you don't know who's making that claim. What are you arguing about? What are you talking about? It's over. The game's over. There is nothing. Anyway, love you, leavers. Just thought I'd do a quick one, like, just to run that by, because it's just in my head. I can't. Now I see it so clearly. I'm hoping I'm explaining it so clearly. You know, you need to see the claim. You need to, because none of you have been served. None of you have been served with any fucking proceedings that have been issued by a court. You know, and if you've been served with a piece of paper alleging to be a summons, yeah, but you haven't been served the proceedings. The proceedings, or the lay of information, or the claim, the statement of truth made by a man or woman that you've done something wrong for them to bring you to that court. All the same thing. Proceedings, lay of information, statement of truth with the supporting evidence. All the same thing, just three different ways of explaining what that is. So the proceedings, the lay of information, and statement of truth with supporting evidence and witness statements and blah, blah, blah is equal and all the same thing. And if you have not seen the proceedings, if you have not seen the lay of information, or if you have not seen the statement of truth with the supporting evidence, what the fuck are you defending? And how the fuck can you defend against something you've never seen? Yeah. So on that note, I love you, leave you. God bless. Bye-bye for now.
Don't they like to hack the computers as well? Look how they do all the hacking and reroute all this. Part of this is rerouting as well. Ganstalking. Hate, really. Ganstalking, you go. Neuromonitoring, brain interface technology too. Yeah, I know. Ah, right. So they've been hacking into the main and was rescheduling. That's really so. Ah, right. So they've been hacking into the main and was rescheduling. That's really so. Ah,
Right, so they've been hacked into the rescheduling.
Oh, the internet's been rerouted, so okay. Anyway, let's have a look. Let's have a look at the weather. Oh, Freemasons, that's a good topic, isn't it? Demonic. Freemason, West Yorkshire Police. Protected evil dad for 35 years. Carl Higgins podcast. Let's play it in the background.
Thank you for supporting our sponsor, HelloFresh. The box has arrived, and I'm so looking forward to the bean chili and the North Indian sag paneer. So, Jen, what do you think of the quality?
Silas fighting, and he wouldn't let us stop. He wouldn't let us say submit until he said we had to submit. He believed all fathers should break the daughters in like do. I didn't know it was in. I didn't know. He did tell me that he got a lot of friends who lived with their daughters as man and wife. But, we couldn't have a baby together because it would be albino. He put my mum's engagement ring on my finger. He told me to stop calling him Dad, and he's told me to call him Sam. He'd held guns to my mum's head, shotguns before. I'd seen him like with a machete, big machete, threatened to split her up the middle. And he said, if you don't tell me what you've been dreaming about, I'll cut you from straight up to your throat. Mum made us both a drink of cocoa, drinking chocolate, and she started crying halfway through drinking it, and she told me to stop drinking. And she denies this, but she told me she'd lace them. She tried to kill us both. Come round front at stall with a pair of garden shears, and she shoved them in my face. She put these garden shears flush up in front of my face. She goes, I'll have you, I'll have you, like this with me. He come round front at stall then, and he put his head in my face, his nose.
Protect the police, have a list that's protected your dad.
If I go down, I'll take 20 down with me, my dad said.
Wow. Thank you for supporting our sponsor, HelloFresh. The boxes are on.
What do you like about cooking your...
Definitely introduce Carol in a moment, but because of the police requirement on this channel that we have a court order because of crimes of this nature and people who are survivors of these crimes, we must ask a legal question, which is, Carol, do you waive your anonymity?
I certainly do, Sean.
Okay, thank you. Right, so just going a bit more into the introduction then, we've got Carol's book here, Conquering the Impossible. She's also going to do a second book, and all the links will be down there if you want to check it out. Now, this story revolves around a documented court case. I've read it myself. I've got the paperwork right here. And I'm going to, perhaps because it's the first 5 minutes on YouTube and they don't want you to say things that are too strong, I'm going to read some of this, but perhaps skip over some of the words or soften some of the words, and by no means softening what's happened here. So, Elliot Appleyard was jailed for 20 years. He was sentenced at Leeds Crown Court today, 25th of January to 20 years in prison for a string of certain type of offences. On 24th of January, a jury found him guilty of 5 counts of the full-on act and 10 counts of the indecent act after an 8-day trial. And it then goes on to say that he manipulated and controlled his young victim and subjected her to a campaign of serious abuse, as well as other forms of violent and abuse behaviour over many years. Claire Walsh from the CPS said, "We welcome the sentences delivered today. The victim was subjected to a catalogue of, I'll omit that word, and physical abuse, which blighted her childhood and overshadowed her life ever since. Her strength, courage, and tenacity have been fundamental in achieving this successful prosecution. Appleyard committed appalling crimes, and the lengthy sentence imposed today reflects the gravity of his offending. We hope that the sentence can now begin to bring the victim some comfort." And
This is
I won't
how.
read the specifics yet, but we are going to.
This is how they pick and choose. What's her connections? Her rapist's father. So how do some cases go to court in the system in the UK and others don't? What does she do? Right? I'm going to screen share this because this is how corrupt the system is. Yeah? I don't get justice. Many people targeted, and then K. Orchard don't get justice. But you get people like this. What? Because of what? What did you do to sell out? Because when you're honest, and then you claimed she's made a book, she's doing this, that, and the other, and there's people out there who don't get no justice at all. Right. This is individual in England, really? Carol Higgins leaving court after her rapist's father is. She still gets a life. Well, I 2019, 20-year sentence.
Oh, my phone. Peace to the world! I'm a champion! You're a star. Justice has been served finally after 35 years. Brilliant. BBB is in prison as we speak. I did. Oh, my phone. Peace to the world! I'm a champion.
There's many people like that, right? Survivor of sexual abuse at hands of father. How many people are there out there? Now and her case went to the system in UK. Really? She wrote a book. Consider GoFundMe campaign. Well, I should have done that for myself a long time ago. I'm writing my second book. Really? That's what I did years ago, winning the elections. Yeah, but really, you don't walk away from cases like that or get any justice in court. How come she got her trial transcripts? Yeah. Incest rape by her own father, who tried to kill me and his wife for. When I was a young girl, my story's been told in the media. Really, there's other people like myself out there, and they get crucified, lied about, and put on the target list. So what does she do? Does she make a deal?
Justice has been served finally after 35 years.
An overwhelming moment for Carol Higgins. It's taken more than 3 decades, but now the man who sexually abused her and terrorised her family home is in prison.
Physical violence as much as psychological violence. Just fear. We live in a house of fear. He'd come up and put his arms around me, say, "Oh, loves you, baby," and just treat me generally like I was his wife. And then it put my mum's in.
Freemasons covered it up. So what should she do? And how did she get the case to their system in courts in these in the UK when other people are not? They're denied. It's all over the place. I don't believe that. I believe that she's done something, made a deal. Yeah? I never saw any justice what happened to me. It was connected in Freemasonry. So they pick and choose. I could easily go for me, but I'm not into that. I don't do that. Whatever. Let's get out of that, shall we? Anyway, let's go on to the real facts that brain interface, brain, gaslighting. She's obviously made a deal to get that matter into their system. You don't get anywhere just like that. I know that for a fact. Freemason West Yorkshire Police protected Eva Dad. Well, they protected all people, it's not just Freemasons.
Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to continue to have a look at the latest on the very unsettled weather we have that is continuing, with loads of heavy thundery showers that are going to continue over the next few days all the way into the weekend potentially. It does look likely though we will see a little bit of dry weather into the weekend, and next week we could be seeing something really quite interesting. We could see a real blast of heat potentially. Now, over the last few videos we have concentrated on the thunderstorms and unsettled weather, but we have always kept an eye on the mid to longer range. And as we will see in this video, Hurricane Danielle, or Hurricane Danielle at the moment, but soon to be Hurricane Danielle, is going to influence our weather. Now, we have been watching and keeping an eye on it on its track, and it's out in the North Atlantic at the moment, and it's going to head towards the UK and dive southwards. Remember, hurricanes have got a very warm, hot core to them, and have a lot of hot mid-Atlantic air associated with it. And as this low-pressure system of Hurricane Danielle dives to our south, it actually brings up incredibly hot air from the south, and we will concentrate on that in the second half of the video. And it means in around a week's time we could be seeing temperatures back into the 30s maybe, but with low pressure with it, it could be extremely thundery. We can see some major thunderstorms once again next week. So yes, really interesting weather coming up over the next week or two. So if you are looking for some late summer, over a couple of weeks, perhaps next week we could see some mid to high 20s, widely or low 30s. And if you're looking for some more thunderstorms, if you haven't had enough this week, there could be some more coming next week. Some big multi-cell systems with some extremely hot air fueling them. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well. Links in the description. First half of the video, we will concentrate though on the immediate thunderstorm risk, as we still have a lot of heavy thundery showers around. We've got a rain warning issued for Scotland tomorrow, and as I said, we will just continue to see heavy thundery showers all the way probably until Saturday. So as we can see on the live radar, we've got another day of heavy, widespread thundery showers. Some big thunderstorms breaking out in them again. Though there are a lot more pop-up storms. We're not seeing sort of multi-celled systems. We're not seeing massive lines of storms. They very much are pop-up storms, and you can see they are very, very localized. The most lightning activity actually is across parts of the West Midlands and parts of Wales, with all these red dots are little thunderstorm cells producing some frequent lightning and very heavy rain. You can see quite extensive rain now as the overshooting tops come out. So yeah, we are actually seeing quite extensive rain in these areas, but the most significant conditions are under the little red specks. They are very scattered, and it is really hit and miss. Elsewhere, we still got some very heavy showers breaking out. Some reds within these showers. There's still some heavy thundery showers around, but the majority of these showers are just rain as the impacts from them, not a lot of lightning with these. Well, we'll have a look at the lightning radar in a minute, and we'll see how we have a lot of lightning strikes within these storms. And it's just going to continue over the next few days, this sort of pattern of dryish in the morning and then heavy thundery breaking out through the afternoon. It's just going to continue.
So this is a setup, right? How quick they're desperate to do this. We'll go back to the subject of the offer of Blatchford Limited Company. Try an offer for Friday, 9th of the 9th, 2022. Wednesday, 7th of 9th, 2022. Kind of confirm the update of what was meant to required. So an agent has booked in a repair, regardless of my requirements. Elevated egg rest, that's an excuse. Stop hacking my computer. Say, Beth, you're meant to be the agent up in Sheffield for the company in England since the 16th of the 8th, 2022, caused the traverse. So the agent hasn't got back to me. 1:30. Vicky Lewis, customer service lead. A picky somebody. Oh, stop bloody hacking up bloody stuff. They know full well he's a Captain Mornings. This is the gas site, yeah. And there's they're copying all emails again. They're keeping a track record. Oh, you. Yeah, also. Come on. Fucking hell. Can you want me? The offer. My email says can't take any morning offer. And still they say we could offer one appointment with stupid idiot, stupid demonic entities out there. Ugh, goodness me, the drama. Yeah, stop banging doors, you demons. Gonna waste more bloody energy. Oh my gosh, Vicky doesn't read the email, does she? It shows the hacking of emails as well. Wow, wow, wow. They hack your emails as well. Can use this for premiering something. Will, what are you doing now? You're blocking my emails. You know what? It's difficult. It's unbelievable how to block everything. Wow, you don't want an email to go through, do you? This is what they do. They block the communications. Wow, you didn't want it. Let me see it there. Yeah, you're just constantly hacking phones and internet. You demons, cast you out my name. Christ the Lord. You're just a monarch. Look at that. You're a monarch. You put it into a draft folder. And you block the internet. And how many hours? Let's have a look. I'll make this private and come back on later. You'll send the link out to let it out. I'm a streamer.